Hi guys, and welcome to Module 1. The purpose of this screencast is to show you how to complete the genetics with the Smile Lab. As always, you'll want to navigate to the folders from the main screen and click on Module 1, Mendel and his P's. Don't forget you can find all of your resources, including the presentation from class on Monday, the notes, the online textbook, directed reading, and other links. Today, for the Genetics with the Smile Lab, you'll need two of these links, and that's the Mabry Genetics with the Smile Lab sheet and the random.org coin flipper. I'm going to go ahead and open up the Word document. It will download, and I'll show you how to save it. When you save a file, you really need to let us know whose work it is and include your name in the title. Make sure you save somewhere on your computer, such as your Documents folder, and I'm going to say Larkin Genetics with a Smile. Now, if you have a very common last name, you might want to use your first initial in front, such as I. Larkin, for me, Ingle Larkin, and then you click Save. Again, it's important to save under your last name so that we always know whose work we're evaluating. Okay, let's look at the directions. For Part A, Smiley Face Traits, we're going to obtain 2 coins or use an online coin flipper. That's the link to random.org. Each coin will represent the alleles of one parent, and the parents are heterozygous, so they'll have heads on one side of the coin and tails on the other. Heads represents one allele and tails represents the other. Number 2, you're going to flip the coin for each parent. If the coin lands heads up, it represents a dominant allele, but if the coin lands tails up, then it represents a recessive allele, and you'll record this information on the table below. Okay, once we've completed this table, number 3 says that we are going to use the results on the Smiley Face Traits page to determine the genotype and the phenotype for each trait. And we'll discuss that in a minute, but first I'm going to pull up random.org. Okay, if we come back to the Module 1 resource folder and you click on random.org, you will get a digital coin flipper. You want to have 2 coins, one for mom and one for dad, and we're going to select the coin type. Now, if you know your foreign currency, go ahead and select anything you want, but I'm going to scroll down to the United States and choose a penny. Okay, and then I'll flip the coins. Okay, so each time you flip, you'll get a different result of heads and tails. Sometimes they'll be the same. Okay, so let's use this one as an example, and I'll show you how to select the correct alleles and figure out the genotype and phenotype for your smiley face baby. Okay, if you remember that heads is dominant and tails is a recessive trait, let's look at the first penny for the first parent, which is the female, and it's tails. So I'm going to select the recessive allele. And you can use any digital tool you want. I'm going to use a highlighter, but if you would like to circle or have some other method of indicating the allele, feel free to use that. Okay, now let's look at the penny on the second side here for the male. It's a heads, so that represents a dominant trait. So I'll select that one. Now the genotype is the combination of alleles that the offspring receives, and in this case it got a lowercase or recessive C from the mom and an uppercase or dominant allele from the dad. And the way we write this is big C, little c. Okay, let's try another. We're going to flip the coins again, and this time we got 2 tails. So we'll go back to our chart, and for the first penny, since it's a tail, we'll select little e. And since the second penny here for the male is also a tails, we'll select the recessive e again. So e and little e. Whoops. Okay, well that's not working for me at the moment, but the genotype is little e, there we go. So now we know that the genotype or the trait for eye shape will be the recessive trait. And let's see if I can take the highlights off here. Okay. Okay, let's do one more penny flip together to make sure we have it down. Okay, this time I flipped and I got a heads up and a tails up. So our female genotype for hairstyle will be the dominant, capital S. And since the second penny was tails, the male is going to donate the recessive allele, which is little s. So collectively, our genotype is big S, little s. Okay, now we need to find the phenotype. The phenotype is the physical appearance of the trait. In other words, what shows up. For example, if my genotype for eye color is little b, the phenotype is blue. To determine the phenotype for these three traits, face shape, eye shape, and hairstyle, let's scroll down to the bottom and look at what those traits code for. Okay, on the second page, you'll see a list of shapes. So the first person had a big C, little c. And here is a big C, here is a little c. Since the big letter is dominant and it is present in the genotype big C, little c, the trait is going to be a circle face. So I'm going to type in circle face. Or just circle is fine. Okay, eye shape. The individual had a little e, little e. So we look at our chart, and for eye shape, a little e means an eye blast. So we'll come back and code for that. Okay, hairstyle, big S and little s. Let's look. A big S and a little s means it will have the dominant big S trait for straight hair. Because remember, dominants always mask the recessive trait. Okay, you're going to continue doing this until you have a complete table, and that will finish part A. Okay, in part B, is it a boy or girl, you're going to determine the sex of your offspring. Now, females are always an XX. Females only have X chromosomes, therefore that is the only thing they can donate to the offspring. So we're going to go ahead and highlight this X because we know that's the only thing it can give, and we'll give the offspring an X. Now, the male has X chromosomes and Y chromosomes, so the gender of an offspring really comes down to the male. So we're going to flip a coin. If it's heads, then you will give the offspring an X chromosome from the father, but if it's if it's a tails, you'll give it a Y. Okay, in this case, since there's two pennies, I am going to only use the penny on the right since that has represented our male, and we'll just ignore the penny on the left. So I flip, and I got a heads for the male penny. So let's look over here and remember that heads equals an X. So we're going to highlight X, and then we're going to give the offspring another X, and that means that we have a baby girl. XX for girl and XY for boys. Okay, now we're ready for the fun part, which is part C, create your smiley face. So now that you've figured out the phenotype, you scroll down to the third page and you have a blank canvas to create your baby. Now notice I put a bow at the bottom. You can color this bow however you want, and you can use it as either a hair bow or a bow tie. So if you look at the phenotype, if it's a female, you add a hair bow. If it's a male, you add a bow tie. So I created one for you using the shapes, and you can use it for your smiley face baby. Okay, there are two ways to get the shapes that you need. You can either drop down the menu and you have a list of shapes that are all the basic shapes we're using for this lab, or you can go to File, Insert, and you will select Shape, and then you'll have a library of shapes to choose from. Everything will default to blue, but I'll show you how to code them for the color that you need. Okay, so our baby in the example has a circular face, so I'm going to drag and drop a circle in. Now I'm going to want to take up the whole page. Let's say though that you flip the coin and you got an oval face. That's an easy fix. Just take this and pinch it into an oval shape. Okay. Now again, I'm going to put mine back to a circle, and I might make it a little bit bigger. Okay, feel free to give your baby a name. You can type it in there and make sure it's school appropriate, but go ahead and give it a name if you'd like. Your smiley face babies will either have green or yellow skin. So to format, you will right click, format the shape, and then you'll select your color. For fun, I'm just going to give mine a green color, and if I don't like the green that I see, I can go over here to the color wheel and choose from a variety of green shades, and I like this nice bright green, so that's what I'm going to put in my color palette, and that's what I'll use. Okay. All right, next, our baby had blast eyes. So I'm going to find the blast. And if yours comes up with star, then here's some stars right here to choose from. So I'm going to use this blast. Put one here, and I'll put one here. And again, to change the shape, you'll use the same, or excuse me, change the color, you'll use the same formatting. Just right click and format the shape. And let's say I want it to have red eyes. I can do that. Okay, we'll change this one too. All right, there we go. Now you can see we're a little further along in formatting our smiley face baby. So I'm going to show you a few tricks. For example, if you got curved ears, you're going to notice this looks silly because you have one ear pointing out and one ear pointing in. So you'll simply use that green dot at the top and rotate the shape. Okay? Now I used the same shape for the mouth because I have a big wide mouth. So I can rotate it. And if you have a narrow smile, you can just scrunch it. You can drag it out. You can do whatever you want, but I'm going to make mine a big open smile. And again, you can change the color to whatever you want it to. Some of the noses are supposed to point up versus down. Again, just rotate to get the desired trait that you need. All right, now, hair bow, same thing. If you have a girl, you may not want it just sitting behind its face. You can rotate it in any direction you want so that it looks like a hair bow that's actually sitting on top of the head. Okay, over here you'll want to use these draw tools to create your hair. Okay, the last component is to add hair. So if you have straight hair, you can use this little tool here to just draw straight hair on. Okay, or if you have curly hair, you can use this little wave, and that will give you sort of a wavy hair strand that you can add and manipulate. And finally, you have a hand draw tool, which might be the easiest if you have curly hair. And then you can just scribble, scrabble your hair on any way you want. And you can change the color just like any other shape that we've used. You format it, and then you can select the color. And whatever you want to make it is fine. I don't believe there is a code for the color. Or you can fill it, and that's an option too. That will go in between. Or if you want to actually just make it the line, you'll choose line over here, and that's what you'll use to change. So let's make that a yellow color, and we'll change the fill back to no fill. Okay, so that gives you the effect that you're looking for. All right, don't forget at the very top at the header, save with your name, type in your class color, and also your small group number, and post this to your small group page for your small group learning peers to see. Okay, I hope that this is a fun project. We cannot wait to see the smiley face babies that you create, and enjoy your break.